Welcome back, my fellow duplicants, here to Oxygen Not Included. This is episode 2 of getting started in Oxygen Not Included. So in the last build here, or the last episode, we actually got our base built up a little bit here. So you can see the things that we ran through is that we ended up getting some outhouses set up right off the bat here. That allowed us to make sure that we didn't have any problems with big messes right off the bat. So we kind of got that taken care of. We set up a little bit of research so that we can research some more things that are going to be a little bit more important. We also set up a couple rooms here just to kind of try to boost up morale so that our duplicants can take on, you know, a little bit higher tier jobs. So at this point here, we're now at the point in our base where we're at tier 2. So the main idea of where we're at now, as far as what we're going to try to accomplish here in the next 25-ish or so cycles, is that we're really going to want to try to move forward with a little bit more intentional base planning. So I've started a touch of that over here as far as trying to set up different rooms that are going to give our duplicants a little bit more of a certain boost, you know, a morale boost. Again, same sort of idea so that they can take on a little bit more advanced jobs and whatnot. The other thing to keep in mind here is that this is one area that I personally believe is really up to your own personal tastes. So let me give you a couple examples here that was actually shown by a couple of my patron supporters over here. So let's just take a look at this base real quick. This base is immense, right? It's a very big base. Again, I think they're cycle 600 or I don't know wherever they're at. They're well into the game. This is an example of somebody who set up a base and their main idea was to just dig up everything and then build their own structure around everything that they wanted to build. So this is one way of approaching the game. So you can see that they have some very intentional things, like they're going to store stuff here. Liquid is there, power is there, food storage. You can see a ton of it right there. There's dedicated areas, right? The duplicants sleep over here. An example of the opposite approach to the same sort of thing would be something like this. So in this map right here, the creator of this map was actually setting out to follow all of the natural fault lines within the base right here. So you can kind of see in the biomes, which we go beyond here. So once we get out of this starting biome, which is this area right here, you can kind of see there's abyssite, and that separates different zones from each other. So you got things like chlorine and hydrogen and igneous rock over here, and then right next to that you kind of got these slime biomes, which is going to be clay, sedimentary rock, and then polluted oxygen. There's also cold biomes, which surprisingly I don't have any revealed at the moment. That might become kind of interesting, but there are cold biomes as well. So this would be kind of a warm biome or a hotter biome. This would be medium temperature. Then there's a cold one as well. But the other thing to notice about this base here is that they're not using any farms. They're just using all of the plants that grow naturally throughout the base. Personally, I don't believe either way is the right or wrong way to play the game. It's your base. You can set it up however you want. You know, and I think it's one of the most creative aspects of the game. So planning out where you're going to put things, well, honestly, that just happens throughout the entire game. But I would say at this point here, we really want to start to refine certain areas that we'd like things to be. I mean, to say every plan goes perfectly in this game would be absolutely false. You do some things, you move some things, you rework them. That's just the way Oxygen Not Included happens. So one thing I'm going to work on here is I'm going to try to build up a place over here where my duplicants are going to sleep. That way they're going to sleep very close by a spot where they're also going to eat. So this is kind of the mess table inside of here. So I have a room in there. It's just a mess hall that'll eventually try to become something like a great hall. To do that, all I need to do is bump up the decor from where it is currently. And that'll give me an extra 3 morale. So that'll be really helpful. But the other thing that I'm going to try to build above that is going to be a recreation room. So that one's right down here. So I'll need a recreational building inside of there, maybe some decor items, and that will be all kind of in the same spot there. So another good thing might be to have the bathrooms connected right to the spot where I'm going to sleep. So some people like to have all of their duplicants have their own private rooms. I think that's a great way to function. I did that once in one of my bases. I've also done it to where I have a giant barracks room where most of the duplicants all sleep in the same room unless they happen to be a noisy sleeper, and then I throw a couple doors on the side of them. You know, so let's go ahead and just take a look at my sleeping situation here. For the most part though, what my dupes are going to be doing at this point is they're going to be doing a lot of research. because there's a lot of technologies that I'm going to need in order to plan out or to actually execute everything that I'm going to be planning here throughout the next 25 cycles or so. So for example, since I'm no longer going to want to get away from outhouses, and I'm going to want to give my duplicants some nicer things like a lavatory, a shower, and I'm going to want to use sinks rather than, these little wash basins. That's all we're going to require plumbing, and it's that plumbing is going to require a place to process the water that has been plumbed to it. So under the research, if we take a look here, the stuff that's really important, looking at this, pretty much everything right here is pretty much important. The things that I would say that you could potentially kind of skip a little bit on, you don't necessarily need fossil fuels right off the bat. You could avoid that. Because we're going to try to set up another piece of equipment, we're going to try to get away from algae, and we're going to try to get more on a water-based system. So that's going to be using an electrolyzer. And then once you build up an electrolyzer, well, you're going to have, that's part hydrogen and part oxygen. So you probably want to have a hydrogen generator. So again, there's like a lot of things to research right off the bat here. So right now we're just working on decontamination, okay? And another thing I'll mention about this series, as I was working through the comments, there's a lot of really, really good stuff that people were talking about over here, just boatloads of it. But one of the things I'm mentioning here is that I'm not going into the extremes of all the different details that we can do here, as far as, getting deep into the you should do this, then this, that, the general idea of what we need to do there. We're not going too crazy on the priorities and trying to understand every single game mechanic in this game. For the most part, if you're just starting into this game, the game pretty much runs all right just by itself. And those examples that I showed you, those bases, those are hundreds of cycles into this game, and people play this game for hundreds, if not thousands of cycles. So that's hours and hours and hours. So you're going to have a lot of time to learn anything you want. Not to mention, you're probably going to make more than one base. So we've completed our first research right here, and we've got a couple things here. We got ore scrubbers. That's really nice. We really won't use that too much right now. But the thing that we really wanted here was the deodorizer, okay? So that deodorizer is going to allow us to clean up this polluted oxygen. Now, this is my personal pet peeve, that we don't want to have too much polluted oxygen around. So the one thing to kind of keep in mind there, the reason that I would be getting rid of polluted oxygen is because of this germ called slime lung. So that's an airborne germ. If it gets into the air and your duplicants start to breathe it, they can become sick, really sick actually, and that could potentially kill off your base if you're not careful. And the reason that it's important is because slime lung will grow inside of polluted oxygen, but it will die off inside of oxygen. So if we just click on this little thing over here, you can see the database, and you just go down to diseases. We can see that slime lung is one of those diseases, and it'll give you some sort of thing. It multiplies inside of slime. It also multiplies inside of polluted oxygen. But it's killed off in solids or oxygen or liquid. And it's disinfected by bleach stone and chlorine. So, things to keep in mind. So another thing that we should really pay attention to here, that I kind of made a little bit of a mistake last time, is that we're also going to want to plan where we're going to store things as well. So you can see that I have some decor that's kind of negative over here because I have all these storage bins. It'd be better to store it over here where the duplicants are not where they are. So we completed our research, and we got the piece of equipment that we wanted there, was the deodorizer. So the real question is, what do we do next? Well, I'm going to go ahead and pick up artistic expression. The reason I'm going to do that, no, actually, you know what? I don't think I need that. Let's see if I can get away without that. I think what I'm going to work towards is the smart battery. I think that's a really important thing to get your hands on early on. So this will get us into kind of an introduction to automation. So just looking at kind of the plan of what we were working through here on the Discord channel was, let's say here, like as far as things that you want to pay attention to, just kind of like the general topics, 0 through 25, what you're looking for. just kind of getting the basic setup, which we already kind of did, except for water and plumbing. We're kind of doing that now. But one of the more important things here is going to be transitioning off those manual generators and setting up the coal generator with a smart battery. We already have a coal generator at this point. It's just we only fill it up once the batteries get really, really low. So it's kind of automated by our duplicants at the moment, but a smart battery is going to allow us to actually turn this thing on and off based on the level of power inside the battery. So that'll be nice and important. One of the other really good tips over here from the comment section was by Tiffany. She says that she likes using the light off the printer to grow blossoms. So you can actually grow 5 without a light bulb there. So you remember last time right here, I actually put this light bulb up there just to kind of grow the bristle blossoms. Not only that, I attracted some of the shine bugs. Well, if we take a look at the lighting overlay, which is this one right here, F5 on the keyboard if you want it, you'll see that this printing pod actually casts a little bit of light. So we can grow some bristle blossoms right next to that for free energy. How about that? Instead of spending, you know, some power to actually put a light up there. It's a good way to get a little extra food. And since I've already kind of grown up as much as I can here, if I get more seeds, then I could just put them down over here. All right, so let's see if I can plan out a decent living situation up here. And you know what? Here's what I was talking to him about as far as making this into a great hall. It needs a decor of +20 or more. I have granite now that I have a miner to dig that up. That'll give us a little bit more decor, so we'll try to slap 2 of those down. See how that works. At this point, I don't think I need any more duplicants. So I actually forgot to mention this last time, but Noah was talking about it down here, is that learning affects the duplicants' training speed and the speed that they learn any other job. So Joshua here has a +3 learning, and you can see that that has a skill leveling +30%. So it's not just for research, but it does allow them to actually skill up quite a bit faster. So over many, many cycles, that can add up quite a bit. But I don't really have a need for more duplicants right now, so I'm not going to deal with that, but I will have some more once I build in some more cots here. So I'm going to go ahead and plant some of these seeds, barrier seed. We're going to see what kind of decor I can get up inside of here. Currently, +55, +55. Ooh, buddy! Oh, that was research. Okay, so we need a recreational building inside of that in order to get that into from a mess hall to a great hall. So to do that, we're going to knock out a wall. We're going to expand it just a little bit here. And we're going to need to add some granite. Yeah, baby. We're going to go all the way over here. Okay, so you can kind of see what these deodorizers are doing. They're just absorbing the polluted oxygen that's coming off of these terrariums. So that's working out pretty good. You can also see the amount of water we have over here is pretty significant. We can also take a look at the oxygen overlay. Yeah, we got like 4 kilograms worth of oxygen down there. Lots of it throughout the base. So one problem that you might see here in my base, talking about the oxygen, is that there's not a lot, there isn't a very big channel for oxygen to flow from where I'm producing it to the top part of my base. However, the pressures are so high that my duplicants are not having any issues. And this was kind of just driven based on where I put things to begin with. So our bigger goal here should be to make sure that I don't have cold spots like this where oxygen's like barely there, and then other spots where oxygen there are super high. So you don't want to have too much pressure in one spot and not enough in another. To do that, we're going to build in some air shafts into our base so it can naturally flow where it needs to go. So now we have some automation. You can see the signal switch right there. That's now been unlocked for us. Power shutoff switch. I don't use that too often. Carbon skimmer, not really needed at this point. A manual airlock, that'll be handy, especially when kind of blocking off something like this storage bin. So if again we look at this decor, you can see in this spot right there, well, it isn't too bad, but you can get some negative decor from things like storage bins coming through a door that is a pneumatic door. Now you may have noticed that we can't build any of this stuff, So an additional research that we're going to have to do is going to be brute force refinement. So that's going to allow us to break down something like copper ore into refined copper. One thing that is also worth thinking about from Bladordan down here is that duplicants can have different schedules so that they all don't try to go to the bathroom at the exact same time, or you could say that maybe the duplicants just go to the bathroom whenever they need to. The way I've been getting around this, because I didn't really want to dig you guys through the whole schedule editor thing, was just by having enough toilets for all of my duplicants. But, like I mentioned before, it's a good idea to keep those priority 6 so that they just keep cleaning them out. So one example of a duplicant that might benefit from having a different work schedule here is going to be Ruby, which is she's a night owl. So let's go ahead and try to throw her on nights. So I just clicked and add a new schedule here. The duplicant that I'm going to put down there is Ruby. I don't really do this with any of my dupes though. We'll give her downtime like this. You're going to work like this. You're going to work in the morning. And then you're going to sleep here. And then bath there. So to try to have the same downtime so that Ruby actually can meet with other duplicants and spend some time together. But she's going to sleep in the morning. We'll see how this works. So one thing I can do now is I can just go ahead and disable these terrariums, because I have just so much oxygen at this point. I don't need more, and there's no point in bringing more water down here to these. Otherwise, it's just going to pile up in these bottles here, more and more, and we just don't need more of that. And you don't want that to get too high, because then your dupes are going to have popped eardrums like this, which is pretty bad. You can see plus 20% per cycle right there. Just too much oxygen. Too much. We can go ahead and disable this one as well. We'll just turn off our oxygen production for a little while. Blink. Come on now. Okay, so another thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to build up this liquid lock. So this is going to say, I just want clean water to go from here. And where's auto bottling? Enable auto bottle. So the duplicates are going to pull a bottle of water from either here or there and start to empty it into this bottle emptier. And what we want to do is we want to fill this up so that the water fills up these 2 tiles. And I think I can go ahead and get away with 1 less tile for that whole lock, so I'm going to try to do that as well. Couldn't reach this, so just add a little bit of ladder. Or you could just dig over it. That works too. Oop, sand. Gotta be careful of that. Okay, so let's take a look at Ruby here. Plus 3 to all attributes at night. So maybe she should eat a little bit earlier than what happened here. Oh man, you got stuck on toilet duty when you should be going to bed. So I have all this oxygen down below. It's probably an okay idea just to kind of dig this up. Allow the duplicants to kind of move a little bit more freely inside the base here. We'll just do that number. That'll maintain the room over there. There we go. Meep's going to do a little bit of auto bottling. Nope. Lied. Might have to run a higher priority on that one. Okay, so the reason that I'm still getting oxygen down here is because of this polluted water. It's bubbling off into oxygen. And hovering my mouse over there, you can see that there's just lots and lots of water there. Over a ton of water. So actually 1.3 tons. But you can see we're getting a little bit of water there, so that's good. I think we should be able to pass through this if I do this number right there. Then at that point, inside of here for plumbing, I'm going to go ahead and put another bottle emptier, and this is just going to be for polluted waters. Yep, see how the duplicant can still move through that? And there we go. So a little bit more water here, and we'll be just fine. And now this is going to be locked off liquid-wise, so long as the water is up here, if that makes sense. It'll be more apparent once you see it. Ooh! 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 Marie! Interest in research, loves ranching. Look at all these positive traits. The only negative one is a loud sleeper. I am going to take that duplicant. Welcome to the base. All right, so now is a good time to start focusing here on setting up more intentional rooms and housings for my duplicants, because Marie here has now showed up. We have enough food, that's fine. And we can do things like deconstruct this. We're gonna grow some more food right next to the printing pod so that we can actually do that number as well. But intentional rooms. I know I got a little distracted there. What do I wanna do? They wanna sleep, they're gonna eat. sleep, be merry, all right next to each other, and the bathrooms are going to be close by. The only thing is my processing is going to be down here as far as water is concerned. I guess it's not a big deal. It could be a little bit in a better spot, but whatever. Oh, I don't have more granite, so we'll just do granite floors. And sandstone is pretty good too because it gives plus 10% decor. Not quite as good as granite, but plenty good. Okay, long-term planning for rooms is essentially they're going to have a door on the front like this, and that'll be right there. That's going to determine the room. So there's going to be a spot where they sleep, and then next to that they're going to have a latrine and a washroom. Now, bedrooms do take up a lot more space, so you can see a bedroom here is, the room effect is +2 as compared to a barracks, which is only +1. So it's not a huge morale boost. So you can make that choice. If you want to try to do individual rooms, you can do that. The one thing I have to keep in mind here is that my new duplicant is going to be a loud sleeper. So I should have at least one bedroom to where she's just going to sleep all by herself, and then everybody else is going to sleep together. Okay, as far as the layout is concerned, obviously you're going to have a bunch of spots for them to sleep. The comfy beds are going to take up a little bit more space than the cots. So you might want to keep that in mind when you're going to lay this out so that you can upgrade it later. There is a very compact way to just shove a bunch of duplicates into one spot. I'm going to give my duplicates a fair amount of space. Again, you can kind of do whatever you want here. It's no real, there's many ways to skin the same cat, as some of my professors would say. Hey, why have you not built the water cooler yet? Okay, so once we have a spot for the dupes to sleep, we're obviously going to want a spot for them to shower and for them to use the bathroom, and that should be pretty close by to where they're going to sleep, if not directly connected to it. And you can assign individual bathrooms as well, you know, if you have a certain duplicant that you want to be in one certain spot. It seems like another natural place for my duplicants to be sleeping is going to be right here, because I've kind of already set that up. And this spot is not the best. It's kind of a high traffic area, so I'll probably get rid of these cots here. That's kind of the strategy that I'm running with right now. I'm not researching anything, which I should be. Whoops. Oh, that's because I got the smart batteries done. Yes. Whoops, not what I wanted there. But I need brute force refinement if I want to even build any of that. So that's going to be my next research task. Probably should have done that before, whatever. So you can see by just adding a couple of deodorizers here, we got rid of all that polluted oxygen around. So that's pretty good. Okay, I take that back. There's like one spot over there. But for the most part, we got rid of it. Okay, so nice bit. You're going to go up here. I'm just going to reassign them. Ruby, you're going to go up there. Turner, eventually you'll end up here. And Rowan as well. Okay, so you can now see the oxygen here. Now that I've let it run for a couple cycles, you see it's nice and rich down here below. Although it's kind of slim up top. So I'm going to re-enable the diffuser, so my duplicates don't run out of oxygen. They're not going to die. They'll just run down here to get more oxygen, but you know. Okay, so one thing I'm going to set up down here is going to be polluted water. This is where I'm going to sweep it, but I'm going to say sweep only. So only the stuff that I say is going to be swept. So that would be K here. Are they going to pick up and go in there? Because I want to keep these bottles out here on the floor. I don't want those to go anywhere, because I'm using that to produce oxygen for pretty much free. Or if you have an accident, that's where they're going to pick it up and move it over there. Oh, and I think I have jobs mastered. Kind of. Alrighty, we completed another research task. So we now have refinement here. So this is really good. We have a rock granulator, and we also have a kiln. So that's pretty cool. And we've used up this pitcher pump, so we can just go ahead and deconstruct this stuff. And we can move this into another, we can repurpose this over here a little bit. One of the other things is that we also have iron ore, so that'll be really helpful. And since I'm going to be setting up bathrooms, I want to work through to distillation as well. Okay, so you see how this liquid goes from right here, just like that, just completely blocks it up. The gas is not going to be able to move through that tile of water. So at this point, I can just do disable, just disable that thing altogether. But the dupes that do move through there, they're going to be sopping wet, so they're actually going to get a little stressed from that. But since they have such nice high morale, it's really not a big deal. And hopefully you're not running over there all the time. And we're also going to get rid of these things, these wash basins, so that we don't have to keep doing this task. Because what we want to do now is we also just want to start, like I was talking about last time, just kind of building up what we're doing, making it more and more efficient. Do I not have a miner? I thought I had somebody who was mining. Oh, I guess Rowan isn't quite done with that. So Rowan's going to go back to being my miner. Otherwise, I can't dig up spots like this. Messing with my plans. Okay, cool. Both Meep and Ruby finished up the farmhand. We'll give them another job. Keep them running. Put down a couple of farm tiles right next to this. And you can put tiles like this that are specialized over the pre-existing tiles. Just kind of keeps you from having to dig it up. It's pretty handy. Okay, so one of the things we want to get set up here is a rock granulator. Oops, come on now. So that's going to be this guy. We could build that right here. That way we can build our smart battery, and that'll be real nice. Now, as far as your ability to dig up metals and what you want to use, it's not too critical right now, but I would say you're going to want to use iron before you use up copper, because copper is going to be useful for suits, and depending on how big you want your base to be. Now, you know what I mean? So I'd say refine iron before you can other stuff. So I'm going to set that to 10 right there, and you can see Turner's right. He's just going to start smashing on that thing. Yeah, buddy. So now we have automation, right? Well, we already had automation, but now we can build it, I should say. Boom! There we go. And the cool thing here is we also have a smart battery. It takes 200 kilograms of that refined metal, though, to be built. Man, these guys really got to go to the bathroom. Look at all these duplicates. None of them really seem like they interest me too much, so I'm not going to worry about them. We're going to grow some blossom seeds here. Get that up and running. We'll copy that setting, put it right there. There we go. Okay, I did mention that Ruby was, her downtime should be more like this. Yeah, totally forgot about that. There we go. Now the barracks are about the right size. So one of the things to keep in mind here is if we are going to put things like showers down and stuff, they're going to have a pipe that comes out that's going to be dirty water. And that dirty water is going to be cleaned. It's going to give us some polluted dirt, which we can refine into dirt. So you don't necessarily have to arrange this the way I'm doing this, because there's benefits of doing it either way. But I'm going to set up the showers first, like this, so that the duplicates go and they'll shower. But next to that, there's going to be the bathrooms. Now, I don't necessarily want it to be this way. I'm actually going to have them come down so they can do showers up here or bathrooms down there, and I'm just going to get rid of this stuff. Or maybe I'll go up. What I want to avoid is getting too close to this stuff. Ugh. I don't want to deal with that right now. So if I do shower, 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 I'm getting me close to that slime lung. Not the end of the world though, because here's what you can do. If you take a storage bin down here, you can go ahead and store stuff like that slime here down in that storage bin. That'll be all right. And then if I put the lavatories right down here, well, that would work. But I want to make sure I have a sink next to that. Oh, hang on. Rooms. Okay, yeah, the shower is private. It's a different thing. So if I do this number here, this should work out just fine. And then for plumbing, I'm just going to have a bunch of sinks. Where are you? Where are you? Let's go ahead and do that, and maybe we'll just dig up this little guy, because whatever, we don't need it. Without an ore scrubber, I think I might just stay away from slime lung. This is kind of an intro to the game, so I'd say just avoid digging up slime lung, if you can do it. So in this case, we're going to do that. We could potentially get away from it, though. So it wouldn't be a big deal. Alright, so I know we're focusing on a lot of different things at the same time. That's how this game works. I need iron. I need more iron. Oh, who's entombed themselves? Turner! Okay, this happens as well. Turner decided to jump down in a hole, and I think Nice Bit over here is actually entombing Turner. Are you inspired by Travolta or what? So now we got to dig this up before he suffocates to death. So you might want to click on the tile, hit deconstruct, and then actually put it up to a decent priority so somebody actually does it rather than just straight up ignoring their friend who is now buried. All right, there we go. So now we have access to a smart battery. So we're going to deconstruct this power right here. Come on. You can do it. And it's the end of the cycle. Come on, Ruby, you can do it. Yeah, way to deconstruct that. Now I want you to build it. No. Stop disinfecting the toilets. You do that every night, Ruby. Well, at least you got the iron a little closer. Okay, so here's a good example of what we're going to correct. See how this coal generator is running, but the batteries are full? It's just wasting energy. So you can see on the smart battery, there's this new overlay that we have kind of that we can work over here. So this is way over, it's left shift plus F2 if you really want to click it, but it's right there. So that is automation overlay. So what this allows us to do is send signals to certain things like doors and whatever. There's tons of stuff we can do with automation. But what we're going to use is we're going to use a little bit of a signal to start and stop this coal generator based on how much power is in the battery. So this way we don't need to have a bunch of jumbo batteries laying around. We can just turn on and off the coal generator based on how much power we've pulled out of the smart battery. And then we'll just refill the coal generator once it runs out of coal. So it's not a big deal. Thing to keep in mind is that this stores half the amount of power that a jumbo battery does. So, you know, that's a thing. So for the sake of it, I might just leave both of these batteries down here, but the reality is I don't need these up there. So to connect these, I need to run an automation wire. And that's going to be from here to here. So we'll just come down there and connect that so we can turn it off. There we go. So we can see on the automation, see it's currently active. I'm going to say this thing goes standby, and you can move this slider. So let's say it's going to go standby at 90% of its maximum capacity. We'll see it's building up power, and once it gets to that point, it will turn off. Although we are using up near a full coal generator's amount to actually put out. Sometimes we're doing a little bit more, it looks like. So this indicator right here is how much coal is in the coal generator, not to be confused with its percentage. So this is now, you know, pretty much irrelevant. You can go ahead and leave this up high if you want to, just so people keep delivering coal to it. I don't know, maybe 75% is a good number to go with there. I haven't really looked into it that closely. So let's go ahead and just get rid of these up there. We don't need that. We definitely do want to keep a manual generator around somewhere. So maybe right here is a good spot for it. But I don't necessarily want to block the oxygen flow in this area. So if I use a mesh tile, not only will it pass liquid, it can also pass gas as well. So with that in mind, actually having a mesh tile, a couple of them right down here, is a good way to let some of the high pressure oxygen that we have here out into your base, rather than it being a solid floor and have to path around it. Looks like I might have a slight issue with the watering hole. I want to make sure I come down here and dig that up. We're going to build this up a little bit more and dig that out so that I can get this straw down far enough to where it needs to go. Which I'll just dig out all of that. So the mesh floor, or what we'll eventually have after that, which is going to be the other tile, which is going to be the airflow tile, which is this one right there. That's a good way of being able to box off certain rooms, but still let oxygen flow into it. Because if we take a look at this one, you can see that the oxygen inside here is really, really low. And that's more or less because the oxygen is not flowing very, very well. Using different tiles to kind of allow oxygen to flow around is going to help that. Okay, so I'm going to want to start to build up my latrines over here. So we're going to build some tiles right there. I say latrines, I meant lavatories, whatever. I'm just going to want to dig this out so that I can get to more metal. And I'm going to want to mop this up because it's water. Yeah, and the water's rolling around. Hey, right now. Okay, so lavatories. So people say that you need to have one sink per lavatory. I don't really see that being the case, but it should be pretty close to the same number. I think you can get away with like one less sink. The idea is that if everybody went to the bathroom at the same time and then they tried to come out, one would skip over the sink and they might take a little some germs with them. Research complete. We got an algae distiller. We got an emptier for canister, water sieve. So that's the important one right there, the water sieve. The water sieve is going to take all this stuff down here. It's going to clean it up and it's going to cycle it back around. Nope, no more dupes. I don't want more dupes right now. Still trying to get these ones in a nice bedroom. Man, have they still not dug this stuff up? Yo, dupes, what are you doing? What are you doing? How you doing on your jobs? Oh, you're so slow. All right. Have I done the decor yet? No. Let's do some decor. Even though I think ventilation and pressure management might be a little bit more important. I kind of want to pimp my base a little bit. Okay, so I can go ahead and move this door down. Actually, I don't even need it. I disabled the buildings. I didn't deconstruct them. Okay, those need to go away. Okay, sink, plumbing. Oh, no, that's under medicine. Lavatory. We're going to use iron. I've been using a lot of copper. Okay, we're still doing all right on algae. We got 2,000 kilograms left. But just to kind of start looking outside of the starting biome, if we look up here, we got this big area of algae. We also got this big area of iron ore. So those are two great resources for just building up your initial base. One, because we have algae, we can use that for a lot of stuff. And the iron ore is also just fantastic for building equipment. As compared to using copper ore. We don't necessarily want to use up copper ore, but so far that's what I'm doing. Like I said, it really doesn't matter in the early base, you know. I mean, if you're really, really critical about what you're doing, whatever. Just don't even worry about it. Just build whatever you're going to build. But I would say use iron ore over copper ore. Sweet. Check all this stuff out. Crown molding. I haven't actually seen a lot of this stuff. I mean, I've seen it, but I haven't messed around with it. So we're going to throw some crown molding up here and see how high we can get this decor. Bam. We're going to get this decor in here all pimped out. Bam. Half this game is pimping out your base, okay? Boom. Check that out. Did I make that stuff out of the wrong stuff? Should be making that out of gold. It's not an option. We can at least make it out of granite. Cool. Why is that priority level 7? Oops. Whatever. Okay, for lack of a better option, we're going to put some mesh tiles down here right now. That'll help oxygen flow up into this area. Try to deconstruct some buildings here. We're going to get some more lavatories. I want to make sure I have one for each duplicate that's going to be sleeping over here. Okay, so here you can see an example of not having good oxygen flow. You can see that this breath indicator is starting to pop up. There's a lot of dupes up in this area, and there just isn't oxygen. Mostly because we're not, it just isn't flowing in. But at least we got something really important done, right? Look at this fancy decor. Look at that 100. Man, crown molding, that is like OP. And here we go. This will allow some oxygen to flow in. Wow. There's one plant right there. All right, whatever. Put that lavatory down. Okay. Meep, you've gotten yourself stuck, dude. All right. High priority. Gotta dig this stuff up. Rowing to the rescue. There you go, Meep. What? That's because you can't get through this. Dig. Okay, so now that I pretty much have my bathroom and the shower set up, what I need to do is plumb it so that it's going to be recirculating on itself. So this is going to be your very first liquid loop. So liquid loops are really, really helpful. You can use them for a lot of things. Yeah, they're just really, really useful. So I'm not so crazy about putting it right here, but I'm going to do that because it seems to be like a decent enough spot for it. Now with a piece of equipment like this, one thing you can do is if you press O, right, you can flip it back and forth. Two things we want to worry about here is the white is going to be fed into the system. So the pipe flow is going in that hole. and in the green it's coming out. So just using something like igneous rock at this point. Okay, quick rule about plumbing this stuff is that there's been some recent changes to the game, so a lot of the older tutorials are going to show you using a bunch of liquid bridges. You don't need to use those now because all of these pieces of equipment have a little bit of internal storage, so it's not a big deal. So it's going to flow out of the green, and we're going to flow in to the white. So we can do this number, and we're going to go ahead and use a bridge here, just like so. And we'll just run this one down like that. So the bridge is going to allow two different flows to overlap on top of each other. And it'll also allow a pipe to be run underneath. Okay, so the next concept's a little bit different because what you're going to do here is you're going to create an automatic overflow. So flowing out of this pipe is going to be, we're going to bring in polluted water, we're going to have clean water coming out of it. And what I want it to do is flow into all of this stuff first. But since we're using a lavatory here, a toilet, we're going to get a little bit more water back than what we put in because the duplicants are adding to that. So therefore this whole loop would actually back up over time. So we're going to put a bridge in here. Now the reason we're putting a bridge in there is because if this pipe comes across an inlet, it's going to go in that inlet first before it ever goes beyond that. So then I'm going to use this one here that's actually going past the inlet, and this will be the overflow. So normally this thing will just run out like this, and then it'll run back through all the different inlet pipes and do its number. So you can just kind of plumb this up however you want. You don't need to be too particular about it. Most pipe systems end up looking like spaghetti. If you have a T section, it's going to go one way, then the other way, then one way, then the other way. But for this, since it's such a low flow, it doesn't matter. You'll see it operate. So, but I guess what we could do here is if we just wanted to have this be one straight line, what I would say is we just flow over this way, then we flow up into the showers, and then we flow down and we go to the sinks. That would be, I guess, the right way, if we're real technical about this, of how to make this all flow in one direction. So that would be a little bit better than what I had previously. All right, so there's a whole bunch of pipes all ready to go. And I need some more research. Do I have enough for the electrolyzer now? Probably should get that set up. Liquid reservoir. Okay, that would be a good thing to have. But it's probably less important than setting up an electrolyzer. We're going to do ventilation. That probably should have been done a while ago. How's the decor in this room? Boom! Maximum! Alright. Well, that worked out. Gonna leave a little pneumatic door there to keep it separated. Yeah, you see how fast that went? That research was super fast. Okay, so moving on from that, we're essentially going to set up a self-powering electrolyzer. So we're going to need improved ventilation, air systems, and this advanced power regulation as well. So we're going to research that over the next 10 cycles or so. Okay, so now that we have a pump, we're going to want to set that up in a spot where it's actually going to have access to some water. So we can set it up right there. But we're going to want to plumb that water into the bathroom circuit, which is kind of a ways up inside the base at the moment. But get used to it. Good old spaghetti pipes. All right, so this is the inlet one here. So if we use a liquid bridge, that'll allow us to fill this loop. It's gonna take a little while to get all that set up, but yo, dupes, what do you got against digging this? Huh? Really? Where you at, Rowan? Where you at? Dude, you got a morale of 8? Buddy, you're going up to be a miner. You need to dig more. Dig. Why is your research complete? All right, airflow tile. Excellent. Gas valve, liquid valve, manual airlock. Manual airlock's really useful, especially for like something like this. Okay, so this seems like a good spot, as good a spot as any, to just kind of build up a spot for some storage. It's kind of close by to everything, but also out of the way. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to do here, which I think is pretty neat, is I'm going to build a spot that has a little bit of water in it. So when I put a storage bin in there, the stuff that I put in there that may have germs or may give off polluted oxygen will actually not give off because it's going to be technically underwater. So we'll do that right there, and then we'll just continue to build this out next to it, and eventually build a tile right there to get rid of it. But we're going to do the good old bottle emptying trick, even if you hit all the wrong buttons. And there we go. So that'll empty out in there. And then next to that, if I haven't given my dupes enough stuff to do already, it's going to be a ton of storage compactors. And then we'll get rid of this one because we won't need it, and we'll just put a normal door right there. Okay, as far as the outlet for pipes are concerned, I always like to run my pipes with one tile between them. It makes it a little easier to jump over. This area is already kind of pre-planned. I don't think I can cram many more pipes in there, but if we're running long ones through the base here, this is going to be where the gray water or polluted water is, and that's going to run back down. Now this can go off to a holding tank somewhere, but a good spot for it to go for right now is actually just going to be a liquid vent right down here on top of my terrariums. So if you drip water directly onto these, you won't need to deliver water to them. I know, pretty fancy. And you can also click on these and you can say disable, you know, okay, if you disable delivery, then they won't get algae either, so that doesn't really work for you. But it'll be one way we can get rid of extra water. We can also plumb it over to bristle blossoms once we get up to that point, which we already have. I guess after once we do all this stuff, we should start planning out some more long-term farms, because right now this is kind of temporary. That's kind of temporary. Well, actually, that one can stick around, but this here, it's functional, but I don't know if we want to keep it there. I guess that's what I'm doing down here. I guess I don't need to do that. Oh well, whatever. I got two spots doing the same thing. So we'll cancel this one. It's clever though. Oh well. Okay, so you see this stuff here? Ew, we don't want that. Now, it's currently not a big problem, but we are going to dig this out and give ourselves a little bit of an air gap for the slime. So what we're going to want to do up here is we're actually going to want to dig this stuff back once I have enough time with my duplicates to do that. I'll dig this back, and then we're going to take that slime and we're going to store it down here. We'll also put a pump down here as well, so I got a lot of things queued up. Ha-ha! Put a water cooler in there. Yeah, buddy. Room overlay. Look at that mess hall. We build this. Watch what happens to this mess hall. Come on, you can build it. You can build it. Okay, ignore it. You broke the room, duplicants, and you ran away. Oh, wait. There we go. There we go. No, you're so close. You're so close. There you go. Great hall. Boom. So that is an extra +3. That's going to be great. Allow us to get up there a little bit higher on the jobs. Even if your water cooler is missing a tile and it's not going to work like this, dupes. Come on. Yeah. Dude, that's a pretty good buff and a quick learner. Harold! You like to build... Dude, that's a dupe. I'm gonna have to take that dupe. It's about time for another dupe too, because I'm still moving up on the food. Jobs mastered. Oh, you mastered your chef. I'm gonna flip them around here. There you go. Harold, you're not doing anything, man. What are you doing? You're just standing there. These dupes. Don't you know you got a lot of research to do? I'm gonna put a manual airlock there just to... No, it doesn't matter. Just put it in there. Harold, see, now here's the problem. Ready? Marie is sleeping right next to Harold. Harold keeps waking up. So Harold, you need to move over there. Yeah, smart man. We can deconstruct these buildings right there. There. Dig this up. Boom. Okay, so one of the things I'm doing here is I'm just going to put airflow tiles just periodically onto the floor on some of these spots. Just helps the gas move around a little bit easier. And that would be better like this. Man, look at them all work on that. Oh, priority 7, that's why. So there we go, that's a little bit larger of a spot. So for the most part, you've seen I've made a much bigger mess now, all of a sudden, so it's probably a good idea to go up here and start sweeping things up again. Well, not yet. We still got to build this bathroom. This is where priorities come in handy. Once in a while, you just kind of go like this. You just paint over what all the stuff you want to get done. Crank it up a little bit. Get her done. You don't have to worry about it. Oh. Again, all of these are going to be set to the right, like that. Once they actually get plumbed, or built and plumbed. Okay, we're going to need that for the air systems. Look at how much they're sweeping. Look at them go. We can just get rid of all that. We don't need that there. We can just move it. Leave this door open so the dupes don't have to open it each time. Same with that one. Same with that one. Open that one. Open that one. Ooh, that one's actually done. All right. Yeah, almost. One more tile. All right, so we need to plug in the pump. So we gotta get some power over there. You don't have to worry about things shorting out in water. That's not a thing. Alrighty, got the electrolyzer all ready to go. And it looks like I've completed a good amount of tasks at this point, so I don't have to worry about that. I don't think I'm gonna get to the electrolyzer though. Here in the second, by cycle 50 though. So I know Nom Nom was talking about doing the electrolyzer in this stage. That just didn't happen for me. One of the other things I'm noticing here is that I don't have easy access to a cold biome. So all the cold biomes must be way, way off the screen. So I'm actually going to have to work a little harder at keeping stuff cold enough. And the electrolyzer is one of these pieces of equipment that can actually work to heat up your base. So we're going to have to work a little bit harder to keep the temperatures down here. Oh, okay, so here we go. The dupes are now using this. I have to bring power over to it. Otherwise, it's not going to work, but we have the inlet. And we can see all the germs and stuff that are going over that way. Once we actually get that thing all ready to go, it'll be just fine. So you see here, you can actually assign these to certain duplicates if you want to. So if I wanted to assign it to Meep, Rowan, Turner, they're all using the shower. That's nice. So that'll give them a nice little bonus there. You can see their morale now. Look at that. Boom! 16. All because they got a shower and everything. They're so happy. Showered +3, washroom +2, Great Hall +6. They even like the decor, believe it or not. I mean, crown molding is... that is powerful. Let's just go ahead and sweep this up. Because it's right there. Let's go ahead and sweep this up. Actually, let's complete the building. So we're not going to get to it in this episode here, but more advanced farming, temperature control, those are going to become some major things that we're going to have to start working on. And electrolyzer oxygen is going to be another thing. So the water that we're actually capturing back from the bathrooms, we can use that. But in order to make all that stuff work, I'm actually going to need heating, ventilation, air conditioning. So I have to go all the way up here. So I'm going to start researching that. And that's just because I don't have a cold biome. That actually makes things a fair bit, a little bit more difficult. I wouldn't say it's all that bad. We might also want to start looking at ranching as well. And actually, I would say ranching is going to be more important than that, just because I'm going to need coal, because I'm going to have to rely on that a little bit more. So I'm going to have to run these a little bit more often, which means I'm going to want to have a ranch set up for hatches, because I'm not going to have a lot of water. I haven't seen anything that is showing up as an infinite source of water at the moment. I'll get a little bit out of natural gas once we start to run that and process it, but it's not going to be a ton. Let's get this thing hooked up, shall we? So you can see that things like the sink and stuff, they're not going to run because the outlet pipe is full. Bleh. But now, once we give this thing some sand, which should happen all of a sudden. No! Rowan, you're on your way, buddy. Ah, darn it. All of these are going to be backed up. Oh, Oh no, and the sinks are backed up. Crap. That's what I didn't want to have happen. Because now they're all germy. Darn it. Okay, so you see that problem that I'm having right here with germs? They've kind of got into my base and they're on the food, which is not good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to move my food storage over here into chlorine because that's going to disinfect my food. It's a little bit out of the way, but it's better to be safe than, in this case, very sorry if it goes bad. So this is going to allow us to use a manual airlock. It will let gas flow through it when it's open, but when it's closed, you know, it keeps it separated. If we ran power to it, we could also do like the mechanized airlock, but we probably should run power to that, except for it's just way on over to the other side of the base. Oh, you're gonna run power across your base anyhow. So rather than that, we're just going to run mechanized airlock. The reason we're running a power door is because it's going to open and close much faster than the manual one. So it's going to stop us, keep us from adding a bunch of time to our travel. I'm running this stuff at kind of a higher priority so that it keeps the focus on what we're doing here. Kind of allows me to direct the video a little bit more, but you wouldn't necessarily need to have such a high priority on all this stuff. Okay, so you see how this a little bit of that's flowing out. That's actually just going to flow down over here. But once we get this door built, that'll kind of keep it from flowing around. We could put a liquid lock there, but I don't think you'd want to do that because we're going to move the food storage over here. It does give us access to a pinch of pepper plant. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to say all edibles from there. Rather than that, that's going to go down to 5. That's going to go to 5. It's going to go up to 6. So we're going to move that from there to there. And that's going to allow us to, I don't know, run a little bit faster. That's actually not a bad spot if I were to put a door in here. So if you get the food here, then you go up to your spot where you're going to eat it. It's actually not bad. Didn't even think of that, but it's pretty good. All right, so there we go. We moved all that food out of there, so we could just get rid of that. But if you look at the freshness inside of here, you can see the germs. They just got obliterated. So that'll keep the dupes from getting sick. If you can store inside of chlorine, that's better than storing inside of carbon dioxide. Okay, so you can see what's happening here. The water's flowing in. We got a little bit extra water, so it's actually flowing out. Now, if we were to take a look at what's inside of that water by clicking on it until we find that pipe contains water. Oh, it actually has 0 surface germs. How about that? So getting down to the water source is kind of not ideal at the moment. So I think I want to give them a different path to get down to it. It's kind of a odd way of going about it, but it works. Another thing I like to do here is actually just put an airflow tile like right here, and right here would be a good spot for it. And then on top of that, I could put another deodorizer so that the polluted oxygen as it's flowing out of here has to go past the deodorizer, so I don't get any sort of this stuff going on here where I get a little extra polluted oxygen up there. Now, rather than just letting this come out and actually drip all over the floor, this is a good spot to put in a liquid valve, and that's going to allow us to meter how much water is flowing past. So if you do this number, you can let it flow past. If we look at an algae terrarium, it's going to consume 300 grams a second, and I have 3 of those running, so I can set that to 900. So as the water flows out of this, it'll just kind of bloop, do its thing. Okay, so we're pretty much done with this cycle. It's probably a good time to go ahead and just do a little bit more sweeping around, just to clean things up, get things off the floor. And I think that was fairly successful. We learned some things here about the germs. That was good. We got a nice bathroom set up for everybody. Or I guess we call it a latrine. So that's good. And we completed a whole lot of research. Ooh, and we got more jobs mastered. Awesome. Plus the morale is quite a bit higher than it was beforehand, so that's even better. You can see their morale. 15 of 8, 11, 12, 13. If we look at our jobs, that means we can go all the way up to tier 4. Okay, so you can see how this liquid works. We're bringing in big spots of water, and then bloop, 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 it just kind of drips out. So it backs up just a little bit here, and then it's just going to keep feeding out to the terrariums. You can see here the germs haven't really been a big deal, but critter drop-off, critter feeders, power transformers and stuff. Ooh, hydrogen generator. Excellent. Gonna go for acoustics. Get a little music. All right, so we're just gonna let things kind of play out here. Next time, obviously we're gonna work on cranking up our ability to actually kind of, do farms, do oxygen, kind of get ourselves a little bit more stable with water. That would be good, although it looks like it might be kind of a challenge at this point because I don't have any great sources of it. But hopefully you guys are finding this little series here kind of a crash course on how to do oxygen not included nice and helpful. You guys let me know down there in the comment section below. If I've earned your subscription, then thank you so much for that. As always, thank you guys for all of your support, and a big shout out and thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys are absolutely awesome. Have a great day, guys. Stay awesome. Peace. Brothgar out.